Hey everybody, this is Robert People and you are listening to People's Court. Thanks for joining me. Also, feel free to visit me on Twitter and Instagram, People's Court 79. That is People's Court 79 on Twitter and on Instagram. I'm here today to talk a little bit about, and what you hear is me driving. I'm on the road right now, so I wanted to go ahead and get this episode out though, for those of you who may need it, especially me sometimes. This is about our feelings, okay? And very simply put, when we feel certain things, emotions, attitudes, whatever you want to call it, okay? And, you know, these days a lot of people are against feelings in general. Just feeling anything, really. There's this belief that if you experience emotion, if you're emotional, you feel anything, you're just somehow weaker than those who try to mask it. Okay, there are those who are okay wearing, what they say, wearing their hearts on their sleeves, meaning pretty much every emotion they ever feel is displayed for all to see. Okay, and then there's somewhere in the middle. Those of us who are in the middle. And what I'm here to talk a little bit about is simply that feelings are always important, okay? But what we have to remember is not to always go on those feelings, because feelings change. That's the theme of what I want to talk about today. Feelings do change. Now, that's not the same, okay? Please don't put this in the same category. Don't put this in the same category as those who say it's wrong to be emotional. It's wrong to cry. It's wrong to experience these emotions. It's wrong to be sad. It's wrong to be upset. Even feeling depression, it's wrong. Don't put that in those categories, because it's not the same thing. Okay, those are a lot deeper in some cases. But I'm talking about just feelings in general. When you're feeling sad about something, when you are upset about anything. A lot of times we do make emotional decisions. And sometimes those decisions could be based on lies. Okay, for example, let's say my girlfriend and I are having a discussion of some kind, and something comes over me. She's talking to me, let's say, about her ex-husband or ex-boyfriend or whatever the case, and I begin to feel something about what she said. For example, something, let's say, I don't know, that he did something that she didn't like, and that's why she left him. And I remember, oh, wait, I did that last week. Oh, man, she's going to leave me now. And then I start reacting to the thought of her leaving, whether it's getting closer to other women or even deciding to cheat if I want to do that. The initial feeling is okay. Initial feelings are all right. And that's the point I want to drive home here, is that initial feelings are okay. We have to acknowledge what we're feeling, but we always have to be careful to take our time and understand if those feelings are based on truth or if they're based on something that isn't true. Okay? And we can't go and just run with it a lot of times. For the example I just gave, there might be a deeper reason my girlfriend decided to leave her ex because of, the same thing that I did last week or whatever the case. So that's something that, of course, in my situation, I would bring that up to her. And that always helps through communication. That's a separate topic, of course, but communication always is always the key to making anything work, especially when it comes to relationships. But with feelings, don't listen to those who will tell you emotion is bad, being emotional is bad, feeling sad is bad, or who want to encourage you to stop feeling. Basically, stop feeling everything. That having feelings are weak, especially if you're a man. If you are a grown man, get away from people like that. Don't spend your time on people who are all about trying to emasculate you for every little thing that you do. Because that's no good. That's no good. Hiding emotions don't do anything. That only hurts you. Hiding your feelings, that only hurts you. Often people around you as well. But there's nothing manly about holding feelings in. Because we've all seen people blow up, and that's blow up at small things, and that's the result of just holding feelings in. But what we have to do when it comes to our feelings, we need to For one, just acknowledge them. We have to acknowledge them because we can't bury them and expect them to just go away. Imagine stepping on, a large spring, going outside and stepping on this large spring. It doesn't have to be outside, actually, but you step on the spring, right? It goes down for a second, but as soon as you let off of it, it pops back up. That's what our feelings do. If we try to bury them, all they're going to do is come back up in some form later on. Okay? Now, if we look down and acknowledge, oh, there's a spring down there, maybe I need to move it or I need to find some way so that this doesn't happen, that's what we're supposed to do. That's what we need to do with our feelings. We have to acknowledge them. Don't listen to those people who tell you that you shouldn't do it or just leave it alone because of all this and that. Forget all of it. You have to acknowledge what you are feeling. Because if it's based on a lie, guess what? You just made the problem that much easier to solve. Okay? Let's say, for example, another example I want to give is, let's say every time you attempt to cook something in your kitchen and you constantly set your kitchen on fire. Okay? That's not good, right? If you continue if you just keep doing it with no sense of, okay, this is why it's happening, you'll never get to the bottom of it. Okay, now it could be something as simple as the fact that you're turning the stove up too high. You're turning the oven up. The oven's temperature is greater than it needs to be, or maybe something is damaged or broken on it, and that's an easy fix, right? Those things are easy fixes. But if you continue to pretend that that's not important, those don't matter, you're going to keep having the same problem. The kitchen's going to continue to come up in smoke, in flames, whatever, until you can stop and say, okay, this is why it's there. When it comes to our feelings, we have to acknowledge them and get to the root of them. Okay? In this society, there seems to be this, we frown upon, psychiatrists, psychologists, those who want to get to the bottom of feelings. We laugh at people who are like that. And there's no good reason to do that. There's absolutely no good reason to do that. Because this is how we fix our issues, is by acknowledging that we have them. Now, if I never go to my girlfriend and say, oh, I'm kind of, worried about you leaving me because you said this about your ex-husband, ex-boyfriend, she could if I never do that, guess what? That just builds up. Because if something else happens, now I have another problem, or now she has another problem, or whatever the case. And rather than just being me going to her saying, and then she can just tell me where she is in the hole with the situation. So when it comes to feelings, I'm repeating it because I want you to hear. I've been repeating more than once because I want you to hear it more than once. When it comes to what we feel, we have to acknowledge it, but we also have to be careful about running with those feelings, because that can be damaging too. There's a big difference between ignoring your feelings and running with them. Okay? Don't run with the feelings, but acknowledge them. Okay? Running with the feelings can lead to so many bad things happening, and we've all been there before where we reacted to something we felt only to find out that it was based on a lie. Based on a lie, based on something inaccurate, based on just something that really didn't lead or didn't reasonably lead to why we reacted the way we did. We have to be careful of that too. As with so many things in our society, a lot of people want to go to one extreme or the other, rather than just saying, there's a point in the middle where we can meet and make sense out of this. When it comes to our feelings, that's another instance where we need to meet in the middle and say, okay, acknowledge the feelings, but don't run with them. Now, are there times where running with your feelings, or progressing, I should say, with your feelings is appropriate? Yeah. Just thinking about it right now, let's look at if you're in a relationship, and my girlfriend and I were talking about this the other day, where people are discouraging you from telling your mate that you love them. Whether it's too early, whether it's not something good for a man to hear or a woman to hear because it might scare them off. That's one case I would say, yes, go with them. Go with those feelings, because the last thing you want is to be in a situation or in a circumstance where you don't say something like that and you're stuck wondering what if. Oh, if only I had done this. If only I had said this to them. And I don't mean if they they leave you or anything like that. If, let's say, God forbid, something worse happens to them. They pass away and you never say it. Or they've been wanting you to say it, but with not saying that you love them, they decide to move on with someone else because they simply didn't believe or don't believe that's what you feel about them. That's not a place you want to be. So there are times, yes, that you need to go with them. But again, what is it based on? Is it based on truth or is it based on a lie? And you want to be careful going with feelings that are based on lies. I want to say this once more. Feelings are not bad. Emotion is not bad. We need that. God didn't give us emotions and feelings for us to bury them and to pretend they aren't there. But God also doesn't want us running with feelings that are based on lies. And how often, again, have we been there? Where we just went with feelings that were based on something that was not true in the least. Okay? When you feel, acknowledge. When you feel, speak it. It's fine to speak what you are feeling. But do so for the purpose of, I apologize for that noise with driving. It's a little bit wet out here, so you might hear my turn signal and my windshield wipers. Again, I apologize for that. But speak those feelings. Speak what you feel. Speak your emotions. Feel those emotions. Okay, feel them. Let them pass. That's the thing. If we bury them, they're just going to sit there. Okay, it's the same reason drinking doesn't get rid of problems. Alcoholism doesn't get rid of problems. It just buries them deeper. When you wake up the next morning, guess what? You still have the same problem you had before. Until you make that step of acknowledging that problem that you were having. Okay? Speak it, feel it, because many times that's the way you get to the bottom of whatever it is to acknowledge it. Okay? Don't fall in society's trap of feeling, especially if you're one who frequents social media very often. Don't fall into this, everybody's so sensitive or people are always mad, but don't fall into any of that. Mainly because most of the people who say that, they'll get mad at things faster than anyone else. They're more emotional, they're more sad, things happen and they feel it a whole lot more than everybody else does. And that's why they're telling you not to, because if you're doing it, they're going to have to do it too. So don't fall into that where that's what you're going with. Acknowledge your feelings, feel what you feel, let it pass. Let it pass. Get to the bottom of it so that it's not something you feel. Just like in my stove, kitchen example. It could be something very simple. And most of the time, honestly, in my heart, I believe it is. I believe it is just so simple that all you got to do is just once you acknowledge it, once you fix it, it's like, oh, that's all it was. The knob was broken. Okay, well, we fixed the knob. Now the kitchen isn't coming up in smoke. Okay, going up in flames. Or, oh, I'm just turning it up too high. Okay, well, let me make sure I follow the recipe. That's it. As simple as that. And the more you pretend that's not the case, or you pretend you don't see it, the more problems you will have. So feel what you feel. Acknowledge what you feel. But take your time and understand when it is a good thing to go with them and when it is not, based on truth, not a lie. I thank you for listening. This is Robert People of People's Court. And again, visit me on Twitter and Instagram, People's Court 79, both places, People's Court 79, Twitter and Instagram. Also, stop by my website, robertpeople.com. Again, robertpeople.com. I will talk to you next time.